Hello WCK, this is Synchro. I just wanted to take this opportunity to show you guys how to use the console. The console is what you use to analyze frames per second, analyze performance graphs. All these types of things will help you to essentially troubleshoot your performance issues or what have you. So yeah, let's get started. First thing you want to do is hit the tilde key, or the grave key. It's on the top left corner of your keyboard, above tab to the left of 1. You hit that, up comes the console that you can see on the top left corner, and a prompt. From here you can start to type in commands. The first one you want to try is PER, and see what happens as soon as you type in a few characters is it gives you a bunch of options that you can type in with those characters. So what you want to do here is autocomplete by hitting tab, and that will complete everything up until the new argument or character. And so basically with PerfOverlay dot, I can do enable, draw, legend, display format, blah blah blah. But what I want to do here is draw FPS space 1. What this will do is it'll turn on the frames per second counter that you probably already see on the top right corner. To turn it off, press the up arrow key to recall your last command, backspace, 0, enter, and then now the draw of FPS has gone away. Again, bring it back up arrow, change that 0 to a 1 to turn it on. It's the same as true or false. True is 1, false is 0. The other useful command is PER, tab, draw, tab, graph, 1. And so here is the performance graph. It's a big red box with, two graphs. There's a CPU graph and a GPU graph, and the higher this graph is on that box, the more work your computer is doing. Ideally, you want to get this down as low as possible. When you bring all those graphs down, and when they look nice and smooth, not all jaggy like this, then you know you're getting a really smooth frame rate. Basically, this is the load that you're imposing on your computer. The lower this graph, the lower the load on your computer, and the faster your performance. So right now my computer is really struggling with fraps and everything. I'm running at 1280 by 800 pixels with Ultra enabled. So with this graph up, ideally you want to go into like an empty server, just to kind of get the core of the experience, just by seeing how quickly you can render the scene. The scene will, when you get into a 64-player server, it'll get much more hectic and you'll be demanding more of your computer, so your frame rate will diminish, it'll go down. But for now, what you can do is just go into the escape options, hit video, and then just, change this to custom. Maybe bring everything down to low. Turn off anti-aliasing for sure. Everything off. Yeah, so we'll apply that. Yes. And now you should see the graph go lower. Rest assured that when you set all this to low, your graph will go down and your frames per second will go up. And you'll want to be running around 60 frames per second. Even the higher the better. So my suggestion to you is just to try playing the game on low with everything off. The game still looks quite nice. It's not as nice as it would be in Ultra, but you'll get a really good frames per second and your gameplay should improve. Another thing you can do if you're still stuck and you're still getting low frames is to lower your resolution first of all. If you set this down to say 25%, this is the resolution scaling. That resolution scale will give you 25% of this resolution. If I apply that now, and then look at the performance graph again. The graph hasn't changed much, but look how crappy that looks. It's so low resolution. This is the best frames per second you could ever hope for. What you can also do is get rid of the UI if you ever want to do any screen grabs or videos that are just really pretty without any UI. Type in UI tab, that'll autocomplete that command, and turn that off with a 0. And now what you can see is the UI is gone. Oh man, that looks so terrible. But with that low resolution scaling. But at least now you can start to see the game more beautifully. When you hit the escape key, of course, that is part of the UI, so you should turn that back on. Let's go into the options, video. We'll go up to ultra and see how much better it looks. And turn off the UI again. Nice, right? This is a 720p resolution. It's not the highest resolution out there, but I just wanted to lower it as much as I could so that Fraps would run properly. But there you have it. One more useful command I can think of is the game time max variable FPS. This is essentially VSync. It's set to off with a 0 by default, but what you can also do is, you know, set your frames per second to say 20, and then to check that that has worked, you can bring up the frames per second counter, and you can see the frames per second are counting 20. To de-restrict it, just use the 0 to turn it off. And oh yeah, and those red numbers that are kind of at the bottom, usually you want those to be white. That means everything's cool, you're not working too hard, I think. Whenever they flash into the red zone, that means you're pushing the envelope too far and you need to dial it back. Anyways, the graphics drivers will improve, the game will improve and be more optimized. Hopefully the frames per second will get better and better as time goes on. I'll show you one more thing about the user.cfg file that you can put in your BF4 folder, and what that does is it inputs all these commands that you've typed in. Like, I always want to see my FPS reading. So what I do is I type in that user.cfg file, which is just a text file that's named user.cfg, and I type in perf overlay.drawfps space 1. Save that file in your Battlefield 4 folder, and from that point on, whenever the game starts up, it will apply these commands. There's a bunch of other little commands you can do as well. There's ways of actually turning off depth of field completely, going lower than low detail sometimes, like off detail, things that you can't do in the game. I can go into more detail about that later. In the description of this link, I'll show you the path to where you can, or the description of this video, I'll show you the link where that Battlefield folder should be. Alright, so that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Hope you found it useful. Take care.